Ladies and gentlemen, our aim of the topic is Plan B is my Plan A. You might find this title a bit confusing at first. Isn't that a contradiction? That's okay. After you hear this short story, you may start to understand. There was a little rabbit named Bunny, who lived in the patch of dandelions at the edge of the forest. Every morning, she would set off with her friends to the other side of the valley to pick the freshest clovers. Her friends always hopped along cheerfully. I'm sure today will go smoothly. The whole way is all beautiful scenery. But Bunny always carried an extra cloth bag and a long stick. What if it rains? What if I forget the way? What if I fall into the river? And then it really did stop pouring. The sudden rain made the stream rise, washing away the stepping stones they used to cross. The other rabbits were either sitting steadily with their soaking wet clovers or spinning in circles in the rain, unable to find their way back. But what about Bunny? She pulled out the wooden plank and built a small bridge. She wrapped the clovers safely in her cloth bag and used a long stick as a walking cane to help lead her friend back home. Once they got home, Bunny shared some dried clovers with her friends. She sat by the burrow entrance, nibbling on her food, still muttering quietly. I go mushroom picking tomorrow. I should bring a small branch to push away the poisonous ones. Do you know someone like Bunny? Or maybe you are that person yourself, always saying what if something goes wrong, and yet when things do go wrong, you're already the one with the plan. In psychology, there's a name for this. It's called defensive pessimism.
Defensive pessimism. It sounds a bit negative, right? But it's actually a smart psychological strategy. Instead of assuming things will go well, defensive pessimists imagine all the things that could go wrong. They think, what if I fail? What if I forget everything? Or what if no one likes me? But here's the key. They don't do this to spiral into anxiety. They do it to prepare better. By picturing worst-case scenarios, they create a plan for each possibility. This makes them feel more in control, reduces anxiety, and often helps them perform even better. In fact, research shows that defensive pessimists often outperform more optimistic people because they're more prepared and mentally ready for anything. This isn't low self-confidence. It's using negativity in a productive way. So if you're someone who worries a lot before big events, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You might just be a defensive pessimist, and that could be your secret strength. This strategy isn't just a theory. It's something we can see in the real world.
Take American Olympic swimming champion Michael Phelps as an example. During the 2008 Beijing Olympics, his goggles filled out with water after the first 25 meters, leaving him blind for the remaining 175 meters. Because he had practiced for worst-case scenarios, counting strokes in each section, he still finished, broke the world record, and won the gold medal. Additionally, from a young age, Phelps' coach trained him to use visualization, imagine all possible race situations, both good and bad. He explained in another interview, I was taught at a very young age to visualize, so for me, it was visualizing a race. In the business world, we can see the same strategy. When Elon Musk founded SpaceX in 2002, he believed it had only a 10% chance of success. Instead of giving up, he planned very carefully, reserving enough resources for a lost rocket launch. After 3 failed Falcon 1, that final launch succeeded, saving the company and securing its future. These two very different examples show the same core logic of defensive pessimism. As psychologist Julian Noram has explained, the core of this strategy is defensive pessimism isn't negativity. It is expected risks and preparing which increase your chance of success.
Defensive pessimism often develops as a coping strategy in response to repeated experiences with stress, failure, or harsh evaluation. For many, it begins early, perhaps in childhood or adolescence, when expectations were high but emotional support or predictability were low. If success was constantly demanded, but failure was punished or ridiculed, the mind starts preparing for disappointment as a form of self-protection. By imagining the worst-case scenarios, the person feels a sense of control over uncertainty. This isn't because they believe they fail, it's because preparing for failure lowers anxiety and helps them function. It's a mental rehearsal. If I expect the worst, I won't be caught off guard. Temperament also plays a role. People who are naturally anxious, introverted, or sensitive to evaluation may be more likely to adopt defensive pessimism. Instead of letting fear paralyze them, they use it to fuel detailed preparation and planning. Social experiences like chronic comparison, high parental pressure, or repeated public embarrassment can reinforce the belief that it is safer to expect the worst than to risk disappointment. Over time, this mindset becomes automatic, a built-in system for managing anxiety before high-stake tasks. Ultimately, defensive pessimism develops not out of weakness, but out of the need to feel emotionally prepared in an unpredictable world.
Through Jane's theory, Melinda's explanation of the concept, Jenna's real-life concepts, and Shanna's analysis of psychological mechanisms, we can clearly see that defensive pessimism isn't a sign of weakness or negativity, but a conscious and strategic way of thinking. Defensive pessimists are not trapped by anxiety. Instead, they turn worries into plans and fear into motivation. The common core of these parts lies in the fact that preparation brings confidence, and imagining failure is actually the first steps toward success. Whether it's Phelps getting through a race he couldn't see by counting her stroke, or Musk fighting a desperate battle for the last rocket, they both used this kind of negative rehearsal to deal with risks more wisely. In a society that highly praises confidence and positive energy, defensive pessimism reminds us that doubts and worries are equally valuable as long as they lead to deeper thinking, more careful preparation, and greater psychological resilience.